wanted me to watch. So I'll take a look at it and see what he says.
Fucking prick.
Okay, so this basically, let's just go ahead and 3 seconds in, we've already established that Jim Sterling is not a fan of Bobby Kotick, okay? So this is not going to be, let's say, your typical Fox News fair and balanced Bill O'Reilly segment here. This is going to be a bit of an opinion, and we'll see what he's got to say. And hashtags for this video are hashtag fire Bobby Kotick, hashtag Bobby Kotick, hashtag Activision. Jim Sterling is the Alex Jones of YouTube. Don't say that.
God.
Like, he does look like a Batman villain. Like, he could play the Penguin or something like that. Like, I just think it's funny. Like, his whole getup, he looks like a Batman villain. Yeah. I like Jim Sterling. It's just funny.
That's a beautiful bathroom.
Wait, I thought that was a fucking kitchen. That's his bathroom? Holy fuck, I need to make YouTube videos. This guy bought this with fucking YouTube money? Holy shit, how much money is he getting on Patreon? $13,000?
Wait, what the fuck?
How do you make a Patreon? What the fuck?
Dude, I'm making a Patreon today.
This is crazy. Oh, it's a green screen. Oh.
We are talking this week about Activision Blizzard, a company that wanted to prove the Jimquisition right in its ongoing tirade against the money machine that governs the game industry. A few days ago, Activision Blizzard let go 8% of its workforce.
They did
that.
At
the exact same time, CEO Bobby Kotick was boasting of record revenue. Record revenue, but enough loss to have to lose around 800 people. Now, I would suggest that some incompetence had happened somewhere along the line there. And I would also suggest that the incompetence didn't happen at the ground level, at the level where the layoffs were felt. Let's look at where that incompetence lies. Let's look at where the blame should be placed. Let's look at Bobby Kotick, and let us say in unison, fire Bobby Kotick. Nearly 800 workers at Activision Blizzard lost their jobs this week following months of uncertainty and anxiety about their future. Cutbacks were already underway, reallocating resources from such games as Heroes of the Storm and abandoning an associated esports push, leaving an entire professional league high and dry with none of the previously accepted support, all of which came out of the blue after months of uncertainty and lacking communication. While all this was going on, Activision hired itself a new CFO, Dennis Durkin, who was given a $15 million bonus package just for taking the job. A $3.75 million signing bonus, an $11.3 million pile of stock, and this is all on top of a $900,000 salary and a $1.35 million target bonus. Dennis Durkin is sitting pretty and will likely amass a respectable fortune for himself as an actor.
Yo, man, dude, if somebody told me I was getting $15 million, like, that's exactly the face I would make. I'd be like, that's right. That's right, dude. This guy is in such a good mood. Like, I would go, like, you know what I would buy? I would buy I've never bought a Baconator at Wendy's. I'd go buy a Baconator. Because they're like $6. I'm not going to spend $6 for a hamburger. Like, that's why I wouldn't buy a Lamborghini. It's a waste of fucking money. Somebody's going to walk by. They're pissed off because they got fired from Walmart, and they're going to key the car. And then I've got to take it back to the dealership, and then it happens all the time. It's fucking annoying. Like, let's actually think about what it would be like to have a Lamborghini. It's like you have a fucking panic attack. You almost
and
have
cocaine.
Is Trainwreck's okay with the joke? Because I was going to say Ape Gang Baby, but if he's not okay with it, I don't want to do that. Okay, but the point is, right, yeah, no, we would never buy any cocaine, right? And yeah, I don't know if he if he thinks that's funny or not, or just his audience thinks it's funny. Trainx is my boy, so I don't want to make a bad meme about my boy. Okay, the point is, like, I mean, think about buying a Lamborghini. Think about having a Lamborghini. You would go around all the time and be fucking worried. Oh my God, is this person gonna hit me? Oh my God, is this person gonna open their door into my Lamborghini? Oh my God, is that kid with a skateboard going to accidentally hit my Lamborghini? Oh my God, is the speed bump going to total my car because it's 2 inches off the ground? Like, think about all of these times. Like, it's having a Lamborghini would be extremely stressful. Like, it would. I'm sorry, it would be.
Activision executive, among many other Activision executives, all of whom are amassing fortunes for themselves. Meanwhile, the publisher just flooded the game industry with 800 more people looking for a job at the exact same time, jobs which are tough enough to come by at the best of times these days, much less when hundreds of others are desperately trying to find a new source of basic income. On top of that, the man whose leadership has led the company to mass layoffs and disappointed investors, CEO Bobby Kotick, still has an intoxicatingly high-paid job atop the mountain. The one in charge, the man for whom the buck should stop, hasn't been fired at all. Fire Bobby Kotick. Fire the man.
Oh, they put
Fire
horns
the
on him.
one
That's
who
good.
was holding the money bowl. Activision Blizzard enjoyed a record revenue year, taking in more money than it's ever accrued before, and yet at the same time the company's value has halved and profits being lost. This is following a 6-year period of rapid growth, the kind of growth that is too fast and ungainly to really control as a result of the industry's shift toward aggressively monetized games, packed with additional purchases and premium gambling elements.
I like the term there, aggressively monetized. That was really cute.
It's a shift that publishers just couldn't take in moderation, couldn't approach with some restraint. No, they gorged on these new business models like fleas sucking on a dog, and now they're at fucking bursting point. And it's not something that could ever have lasted, but as we've seen with many businesses across many industries, companies don't think about the future. They only care about short-term gains at the fastest rate possible because they're driven.
What was the logic in having a person dressed up as a Tyrannosaurus Rex to indicate the idea of companies being more driven towards short-term profits versus long-term profits? Like, I'm just curious, right? It's like you can put anything in the picture and you decide, you know what, let's go to, you know, a Halloween store and, you know, go online and take a picture of somebody in a T-Rex costume and say, short arms? Oh, they're reptiles and they're controllers of the world. And that's why they're living in the earth and they're controlling everybody.
To do anything to keep the money coming in and their shareholders happy. If there's even a hint that the vast amounts of wealth investors are seeing might be slightly less vast next quarter, they'll run fleeing and panicking. We've seen this with Activision itself. When Call of Duty Black Ops 4 made $50 million less in a short amount of time than Call of Duty Black Ops 3, share prices suffered a major drop.
The game
had still made $500 million and sold 8.3 million copies over 3 days, but it was labeled a disappointment. And that's supposed.
Can I just say one thing about Black Ops? Just kidding. I'm going to say it anyway, even if you say no. The game is so fucking stupid. They had the feature of being able to show your real name turned on by default.
Yep.
Imagine that. Really, I mean, like, it's incredible. Like, it was turned on by default. Which is like, that would be cool, right? If I like the idea of that in only this context. Let's say someone kills me. The kid starts talking a bunch of shit. I go to Facebook. I look up his name. I find his Facebook profile. And it's a kid that's 88 pounds wearing a 4X Supreme t-shirt with a hat that still has its sticker on it. That would be funny for me to see, right? I would think that would be hilarious. Just to know, to have like an image in my mind, this is the person that's talking shit to me on Xbox Live.
to make sense. That's supposed to be normal. Even though it is, in my professional opinion, fucked up and weird.
Boom.
This is why games are aggressively
Nice
monetized,
shot.
of course. We've talked about that. We've talked about how
Is
once
this scuffed
companies
Halo?
hit their audience ceiling, they immediately start trying to take more money from those who've already
Halo
bought a product.
1.5.
There's nowhere else for them to go. That's why this economic system shouldn't be normal, because it encourages companies
That's
to be
Destiny.
less ethical, more
Yeah, Halo
greedy,
1.5.
more predatory, and there are not efficient checks and balances to stop them, to rein it all in. Before these recent layoffs, Activision had been posting record revenue success after record revenue success, with half of its money being made off in-game monetization. They essentially found a way to get twice as much money out of people, but you can't keep doing that because audiences and their money are finite things in an economic system that expects infinite money forever. Activision didn't think about the long-term impact of its market aggression and fucked itself as a result. It grew 6 times as large over 6 years, becoming worth around $60 billion, and yet mere months after this growth
Goddamn.
was boasted about, reports stated the company's value had been lost before Bobby Kotick jettisoned around 800 employees. He fired them after boasting about yet more record revenue. Record revenue, but a severe devaluing. Record revenue, but mass layoffs. Record revenue, but Activision Blizzard is losing money. Or at the very least, not making quite enough of it
That's
to
more like
keep
it.
all of the little investors happy.
Yeah, that's a little bit more
In any
like it.
reasonable situation, there's one place to lay the blame. The fucking leaders, the ones who made all the
Look at that
decisions to
face.
get us here. And among those leaders, one man is the captain of this ship, Bobby Kotick.
You know how, like, sometimes you have, like, the angel on one side of their shoulder and then the devil on the other side? See, look at what Jim's doing here. He's using the imagery of only the devil on one side. There's no angel on the other side there. It's just the devil. That's Satan all the fucking way.
Fire Bobby Kotick. A man with a
That's
net
thick
worth of $7 billion. That's $7,000 million of assets that the man at the top gets to enjoy. More money than the human brain is even capable
Yeah, the
of
angel got laid
effectively
off.
conceiving, possessed by one single
Yeah.
human being, or as close to human as Bobby can get. A human being who just threw
Well, don't make
800
fun of him being divorced, man. I mean, like, look, guys, you might not like the guy, what he does in business, but, like, man, like, his wife could have been a bitch, dude. Like, what if it was his choice? That's not his fault. I mean, you don't know that. Come on. Yeah, human with the... Okay, dude.
others
Can't
under
marry
the
an
bus
alien?
while
Bestiality?
sitting on his own massive hoard. Shit rolls downhill and Bobby don't even have to smell it. Fire Bobby Kotick. For Bobby Kotick, publishers coast on the knowledge that in their industry, employees are completely expendable and utterly powerless.
Yep.
Since there's no workforce organisation and the mere hint of unionisation has been effectively demonised by
Yep.
corporate propaganda, employees are forever at the total
I remember this shit, dude. Sorry, I gotta stop pausing these videos, but I want to go ahead and tell a personal anecdote. I've never told this story before, right? Is that I worked at Sam's Club, and as you guys know, Sam's Club is a subsidiary or basically another company within Walmart, right? And during my orientation for Sam's Club, they told me that they didn't like any unionization, and they specifically said, you know, we're very against unionization, and you know, just please tell somebody if you see people trying to unionize. And I immediately went over to the board, right? Because they had a bunch of this, like, you know, like governmental stuff and legal stuff on the board. And it said specifically that they can't tell you that. In literally the same room that they were telling us that how bad unions are. It was just kind of funny.
mercy of game publishers who think literally nothing of sacrificing their
It's
own
not even
workers
legal?
to keep that revenue going. Layoffs in this industry have become normal, almost mundane, banal. Every few months we hear about massive layoffs somewhere with plenty of smaller ones in between, and most people shrug off this fucking circus now
Got
because it's
cancer.
business as usual. But this shouldn't be usual, it's not normal, it's abnormal in its normality. It shouldn't be normal that executives rake in hundreds of thousands of dollars and make millions more in bonuses and perks, while other employees are in constant fear for their jobs. It shouldn't be normal for there to be an endless cycle of excessive unsustainable growth followed by plummeting values. It shouldn't be normal for Bobby Kotick to keep his job. Bobby Kotick has reportedly been pretty damn opposed to fair treatment of his workers. Game designer and former Xbox bloke Seamus Blackley recently said that he's had a long history fighting with the man over employee rights. This is Bobby Kotick, who once joshed, "If it were up to me, I'd raise the prices even further." During
Wow, what is this here? To which Bob Kotick added, "And Tony, you know, if it was up left to me, I would raise the prices even further." That's cool.
What?
I'm glad Kotick has always been so open and frank about how little he respects his customers and how much he reveals his own greed.
Revels in his own greed. Revels. That's a word.
Oh shit, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, revels. Yeah. No, like sometimes I'll pronounce words wrong just to be funny.
Who cares? Let's move
But
on.
like I actually fucked that one up.
That's okay.
the economic crisis of the late
Yeah,
2000s,
like I said, he's
Bobby
just a
Kotick,
greedy piece of
He's
shit.
gone on record as saying he only cares about intellectual property that can be, and I quote, exploited over multiple year periods. And that was when he cancelled off a Ghostbusters game because you can't do Ghostbusters games every single fucking year. Bobby Kotick is a dickhead,
right.
to be honest, a
Well, yeah,
smirking
you can. New
dickhead
people
with
die.
dead eyes who has never, and I mean never, looked good holding a Guitar Hero guitar.
No,
Look at him.
not at all.
Arsehole. Well, we should feel bad for Bobby Kotick because despite all of his money, he still struggles to get a date because when women Google him, they find pictures of him with devil horns, and that's actually something he's talked about. Well, the answer to that is simple, Bobbers, mate, right? Don't make people think you're the devil. Did you know when Bobby Kotick had a controlling stake in Mediagenic, it was $30 million in debt, and a local California sheriff turned up to repossess items to clear off the debt. They showed up to pick up an IBM mainframe computer. Kotick had an office assistant hand over a PDP-11 computer, which was significantly cheaper, but the sheriff didn't know the difference, so they
That's smart. Like, that's actually smart. So instead of giving them a computer, he basically gave him a calculator or something like that. Yeah, that was... I like this guy now. Like, that was... I like that a lot.
assistant hand over a PDP-11 computer, which was significantly cheaper, but the sheriff didn't know the difference. So they effectively conned a sheriff's department, and it's that level of brazen, unethical cunning that has seen Bobby Kotick rise the ranks.
Hey.
It's also the reason people Photoshop devil horns on your head, bobbers. Bobby is said to have, and I quote, a history of suing developers and competitors, which appears to be, and I quote again, a fundamental part of his business model. Something we saw play out when he had a bitter legal battle with the heads of Infinity Ward. Bobby Kotick has once been described as a practitioner of compulsive capitalism. When he was a kid, he sold his mother's ashtray to a friend for $3. He had business cards made for himself by the time he was in junior high. This man has never stopped running ankles and trying to make money by any means necessary. He is
like
literally Don Ready from the goods.
Wow.
He's a wanton prick, but it's not just that he's a prick that he should be fired. That just makes calling for his firing a lot easier. A boss is meant to look after their employees, but CEOs of major game publishers happily, merrily fail at this because there will be no accountability for them when they do. They don't feel responsible for their employees because they're not held to any responsibility. Publishers get to coast on the knowledge that their workforce can be thrown away, which is why it's become so normal to grow your business massively, hire loads of people, then fire them all when your ludicrous growth spurt stops. Workforce happiness be damned. And what really makes me sick, what really makes me want to upchuck my dinner right in Kotick's smug fucking face, is that these executives get bonuses when they succeed, just like the CFO's aforementioned
To be fair, they also get bonuses when they fail.
$1.3 million performance bonus. So these fuckers get huge prizes when they succeed, but what happens to them when they fail? Nothing. Barring an actual major league catastrophe, these good old boys sit pretty, earning a bonus for winning, but no punishment at all for losing. And even if there is a catastrophe, they have luxurious golden parachutes that'll safely land them in their next massively high-paying executive job.
That's what happened, right? That's exactly what happened with the guy that was the Blizzard CFO. Is that he goes to he leaves Blizzard and then he gets another let's just go ahead and guess if he got another signing bonus for the company that he left, or sorry, he joined after he left Blizzard for the first time. So it's like he's sailing away like Mary Poppins on his golden umbrella over to another company. He's like, oh, there's 15 million. And then he's like, all right, I got the signing bonus here. Sails away again, Mary Poppins back over to Blizzard, and he gets another 15 mil. Like that, it's a really good system, man. I like it a lot. I should be a CFO. It's like, but you have to do a lot of work.
Look at John Riccatello, who resigned from EA following a rubbish performance in 2013, but is now CEO of Unity Technologies, having suffered nothing. Executives get a shiny brand spanking new Castle Grayskull playset. The employees under them could consider themselves lucky if they find a Ram Man behind a dumpster, but the legs don't work, so he doesn't spring like he should. I don't know what I mean by this analogy.
Bitch.
I'm just thinking about He-Man toys. If you've managed to take in record revenue and you're losing money, you're fucked up, and if you're fucked up, you should pay for it. Bobby Kotick made other people pay for the mistakes of those at the top. That's ultimately what these layoffs are. Bobby Kotick had other people pay the price for his failures, a price he could more than easily afford on his own. We've brought up former Nintendo boss Satoru Iwata a few times on this show, but we really should go into more detail on what he did.
Listen to this.
When Nintendo had to reduce the price of the 3DS soon after its launch in 2011, it's tough to remember now, but it was actually somewhat disastrous in its early period. It was Iwata who took on the burden of responsibility, slashing his own salary by a massive 50%. Less talked about is the fact it wasn't just him. Other high-ranking board members, including Shigeru Miyamoto, chopped down their own pay by about 20 to 30%. It's almost as if executives with an actual background in video game hard work know how to treat people with a bit more dignity and respect. Rather than initiate mass layoffs, rather than pass the buck to staff who had nothing to do with the poor decision making, those in charge took the bullet to keep the company making money.
And I want to say that right now is because this isn't something that they did in the 1980s whenever the you know, the Rob machine or the Virtual Boy didn't sell very well because it gave people motion sickness and made them throw up. I'm talking about something that happened just a few years ago. And this is a practice. I mean, Nintendo fucking did this. Rob was trash, guys. Shut the fuck up. Okay, it was trash. I have one downstairs, I think, at least. I don't even remember. Look, I like, Nintendo did that, and it's not like this is unheard of. And you look at Nintendo nowadays, like, if I was going to consider, like, any company, like, Nintendo has, like, some dumb stuff that they do with creators, right? And, like, the creator sharing program. But they got rid of that. And Nintendo, in my opinion, has at least, like, probably the best public image of, like, any other developer. At least I would say, yeah, absolutely.
Bullet that, unlike some poor fucking QA tester, they could easily survive. And that bears thinking about. The fact that executives can take 50% reductions in their salary and still earn way more than they need to live. And it wasn't just once either for Iwata. He took another 50% pay cut in 2014 following the Wii U's humiliating performance. 50%. Again, and he was still fine. And did you know he went on record as refusing to lay his staff off? Here is what the man said in between his two pay cuts. If we reduce the number of employees for better short-term financial results, employee morale will decrease. I sincerely doubt employees who fear that they may be laid off will be able to develop software titles that could impress people around the world. And Satoru Iwata, God rest his soul, was right. Iwata knew that mass layoffs were a failure at the executive level. A failure. He knew about the long-term issues, the decrease in morale and how that affects games. Fearing for your fucking future, as Activision employees have had to do for several months now before any of this came out, working with the sword of Damocles above their fucking heads, is not something anybody should be doing at any time, and one sure as shit can't be expected to produce creative art to the best of their ability when gripped by such fear. No doubt morale is down at Activision. It can't not be down when 8% of the workforce was just tossed away like an old coat at the first opportunity. Bobby. 800 people disappeared with a snap of Kotick's fingers for, as Iwata put it, short-term financial gains.
Yep.
Short-term. The only term this idiotic fuckwad game industry understands. And Bobby Kotick doesn't care. He literally fights with people over workers' rights. He's an ashtray seller, mother. He's an ashtray seller. He's worth $7 billion. He could personally fund several major video games on his own and still have
Bobby Kotick's worth $7 million?
Yep. Billion.
No way, dude. No
Yes.
way. Just a
Yes.
second.
Billion.
What the fuck, dude? $7 billion? God damn. Like, what the fuck?
Well, he deserves that, dude. He runs a company, right?
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, but that's fair because he runs the company, and you know, CEOs and executives, you know, they give up their entire lives pretty much for their business that they're in.
Yeah,
right?
but
So-
yeah, but whatever. Like, I mean, if I had $7 million, that'd be good. This guy's at $7 billion. What does he do with the money?
Well,
Like,
you have to be listen. You have to be very careful with this video because, yes, at a certain point, ethics do come into play with capitalism.
yeah.
But if you go too far, you're going to start edging into communism or socialism, and that's really bad. That's dangerous. You don't want to go down that road. Okay, that just leads to terrible, terrible, terrible things, right? So you got to understand, capitalism is the best system that we have, but it needs to be, reined in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, the thing is, like, what are really the alternatives? I mean, it's really hard for me to say. Just a second here, $1 billion, wait, Kotick owns 175 shares of Activision? Yeah, it's a lot. Fucking facts, yeah, I don't know. This is socialist propaganda? Yeah, of course. All right, let's go back to it.
Money to pay Brendan Fraser to do something. He's still got a high-ranking job. He's still got his massive wealth. He always will. A few photoshopped devil horns in response. Well, it's hardly an equitable exchange. Mass layoffs shouldn't be normal. But massive pay cuts for underperforming executives absolutely should be. How is that not the norm? It's the simplest thing to do. It's the most painless thing to do. But this is an economic system run by cold, selfish, incalculably rich individuals who have more money than they will ever need. And yet still, somehow, they actually want more of it. It's not about need, it's about greed. It always has been, it always will be. Fuck these people. People who sit on huge amounts of money that they don't use to contribute to the economy, but just fucking sit on. They just fucking sit on so much money, they can't spend it, and they get angry when they can't have even more of it. Just more and more massively unspendable wealth, and most of them inherited their wealth having never worked for it to begin with. These individuals are themselves not normal.
Well, I
They're
didn't put him there.
parasites. That's what you call something that survives by taking and not giving back, by surviving at the expense of others. They can't be reasoned with, they can't be bargained with, they don't feel pity or remorse or fear, and they absolutely will not stop. Ever. Until you are broke. Fire Bobby Kotick, or at the very least draw more devil horns on him.
A lot of my stories about the kind of person Bobby Kotick is could come off as character assassination, but they were all facts gleaned from glowing appraisals of the person, from these glowing profiles, where even when they criticise him, it's still tempered with this, but he's a bit of a rapscallion, he's a bit of a maverick. Two profiles I saw both talked about whether he was a hero or a villain, with emphasis on the hero. No, he's not a hero, he's a soulless fucking spam droid who only cares about making money, all of the money, at any cost whatsoever, especially human cost. He doesn't care about his employees. He routinely rakes in millions and millions of dollars while thinking of sacrificing none of his own wealth to look after people.
Sounds like
he
me
is
as a
a
guild
shit
master.
stain, and he should be fired. There's no hero-villain dynamic, and it might sound melodramatic to say, but he is a villain. There is only villainy, and the one true hero is the man you thank God for weekly, James Sterling. Thank God for me.
Okay, dude. Okay, dude. Okay, dude. Just a second. Wow.
Yep. What do you think?
I think this comment's probably the most realistic. If Bobby Kotick gets fired, he'll just be replaced by some other soulless bottom line stroking CEO that has no experience in the game industry and does the same thing without getting caught up in news cycles saying how terrible they are. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Where's the other one here? No, he's not diversified the company enough. Oh, diversified the... Wait, are we talking about... Oh, no, actual game diversity. Okay, what is this here? They make up lame excuses. Well, yeah, Call of Duty's fucking boring. Like, you introduce an IP that's $60 to compete with other IPs that are free, and wow, what a surprise. A lot of people don't keep buying it. Oh my god. I should be a CEO. Holy shit. Okay, let's go over here. You give 100% at your job, so you're not the one laid off. Well, or you give 100% at your job, so the guy at the top makes more money, and then he lays you off because he doesn't need you to do the job, and he could get somebody else to do it for 90% of the work who can pay half as much money, and they come out ahead. They come out ahead. That's the way that it works, right? It's like you just fire you because you're working too hard. You think you're too special. They get rid of your fucking ass. It's not a big deal, right? They give you like $4,000, and then they hire somebody else that's fresh out of fucking college that makes half as much money as you do, and they're happy for the job. That's the way it goes, man, and it sucks.